Okay, so now it is time for another exciting video of the Putting It All Together series. And in this video, we are going to be dealing with CSS rules in particular. So let me just give you a quick summary. We're going to do the three different types of CSS rules, which are the tag rule, the ID rule, and the class rule. We are going to talk about the different types of style sheets, external versus embedded, or what we call internal, and then finally inline, the three hierarchies there. And we are going to talk about rules with multiple selectors. So that is going to be what is on our plate today. So let's first of all go over to the code. We're using our same website as before. And I'm going to go over to the styles.css because almost everything we're going to be doing today is in this file. So first of all, let's talk about how to see, or actually what are examples of the three types of rules and how to distinguish between them. So for the tag rule, the tag rule is very simple, simplest of the rules. It is just the same name that's in the tag. So actually, I am going to jump over here to index.html. And you see here on line 7, I have a body tag. Well, if I wanted to make a rule for body, I would just name it body without the brackets. So if you look over here, there, I have a rule for body. And all I have is the background is tan. Well, that makes sense if you look at the page because there's a tan background on the page. So that means all body elements in my website, unless they're overwritten, which I don't have any that are, but we'll talk about overriding styles here in a minute, will be tan, all of them. Okay, so some other examples of tag rules. Let's do a couple more before we move on. There's lots of them in here, but one I will do is the div. And we have mentioned the div before when we were talking about divs, but I just said to ignore the rule for right now. Well, now we can actually look at the rule. So we have the div rule, and there's several properties that are changed for the div. One is the text align center. Now, I only have one div on my site right now. As I mentioned, I'm mainly basing my site off tables. I like the tables personally, but a lot of people use divs. So let's go look over here real quick at the div. It was under the restoration page. It was this box right here. So notice the text is centered. Well, text align center, there's the first thing. Width 500 pixels, okay. So that looks about like 500 pixels, yep. Padding means how much before the, how much away from the edge does it need to be? And as you see here, I have 15 pixels. And then the paragraph that's in it may have a little bit of spacing too. So that's the 15 pixel padding. There's also a margin for how close things go up against it, and that's 10 pixels. Oops, didn't mean to do that, sorry. There's the 10 pixels right there for how close it is to things. And I have a border, 1.75 pixels is the weight of the border. And then I have it as a solid border and dark blue. And again, there you see it, just like that. Remember from a previous video, I commented out this rule. And what happened? Well, the text went back over to the left. It was no longer center aligned, and we didn't see the border going around the div. Okay, so that's another tag rule. So if I made any more divs, they would look the same. They would have the same layout as this div does. Another example, the figure. Figures go with images, and I don't want to get too far into them right now, but I do want to mention that This figure tag, I've set up a font size and a font alignment. Center and 12 pixels. Well, they're what are under my pictures in the Fig caption sections, which are nested inside the Figure tab. So that is what we have here, these smaller text that are centered by the pictures on both the restoration page and the gallery page. That's what those are. So if you look here, though, I have the font size and text align center. But I also have a font setup, and I have a font family. This brings us to the multiple selector section. And this can be done with the other types of CSS rules, the ID rule and the class rule that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes as well, or in a combination of any of the rules. I have it as 2 tag rules, and I'm going to cover it right now. But that the rest will happen. Well, you'll see the other kind of rules in a minute. But it's right here. They're separated by a comma. P, comma, figure. So this means a paragraph tag or a figure tag. If any of those are the case, we have a font family, Arial, Helvetica, Sans Serif. And what this means by a font family is it tells the browser, if you have the Arial font, use it. Most browsers will have the Arial font. But maybe for some reason your browser doesn't. I don't have the Arial font. Then use Helvetica instead. Well, I don't have the Helvetica font either. Okay, then use the default sans serif font style, whatever type that is. Now, serifs are like what's up here in my